Syafiq. The first speaker is Haykal, the second speaker is Syafiq, and the third is Haykal. Haykal, give me your opinion about how important foreign culture in our daily life as students.
Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Waalaikumsalam. So first of all, I would like to say one argument, opening argument with culture is very important for us as a student. It is because culture is something that determines our behavior in our daily life activity. So that's why, as a student, we need to choose a correct culture so we can behave properly in our environment. And yeah, we know that because of the development of social media, foreign culture is spread everywhere. And actually, it brings a good advantage and a disadvantage to our children's culture. And in my opinion, there are a lot of culture that we need to select it correctly. It is because of the development of social media, we know that there are so many culture that spread in social media. One of the culture in social media that has a bad advantage or disadvantage is jaksel culture. You know that, right? So a culture like jaksel culture is something that we need to eliminate it, because in fact that jaksel culture could decrease the morality and mentality of our children. Well, we don't need to mention people that spread the jaksel culture like in social media, because they are now viral, and we need actually to do not give them a place to speak up, because it can spread the bad advantage for our children. So, in my opinion, the way for us to select a correct culture is with adapting it with our environment. We know that our every people environment is different, so we need to suit the culture, the foreign culture, with our environment. For example, it's like speaking English. We know that there are a bad language in English language that is used by the foreign. And yeah, it is exactly one of the example of the bad of foreign culture. And because we live in Indonesia, that our country is very polite, so we need to be polite too, even we use the English language. I think that's it.
Thank you, Haykal, for your answers. And now move to the subject. The question is, what's your opinion, or do you agree with the statement that foreign culture dominates in Indonesia teenager activity nowadays?
Yeah. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, based on the question, Mr. said that if I agree is the foreign culture dominated the culture of Indonesia. Well, I agree if the foreign culture has dominated the culture in Indonesia, because as you know, nowadays we have entered the era of globalization, when information are easy to enter our country, and so as foreign culture. We cannot reject the kind of culture is given, because we don't know the kind of culture given. When we accept culture from foreign or outside country, we don't know if it is positive or negative. So when we accept a culture from other country or foreign culture, we must always first keep positive or negative. So that we, even though foreign culture dominates our country, we should not let the fact dominates us too. For example, we should not let the effect of foreign culture, for example, it may replace our own culture and it may dominate our culture. So we should not let the foreign culture dominate us too. But on the other side, learning or accepting foreign culture is also better or maybe good for your life. Because in my opinion, when it comes to foreign culture or Filipino culture, we have to be balanced. We have to learn about our own culture, and at the same time, we must preserve our own culture. So there are both of them has disadvantage. Oh, I'm sorry. Both of them has disadvantage. When you learn about foreign culture from another country, you have a wider knowledge that you can give, and there are many information that you can get from learning foreign culture. And when you preserve your own culture in your own country, you have a role in maintaining your own culture. So as Mr. Aaron said, I agree that foreign culture has dominated our country. Well, we should not let the effect or the negative effect dominate us too.
Okay, thank you for that. Give comment from sorry.
Okay, so in my opinion, I agree with your opinion because when something that dominates our life, it will be directly dominate all our habits and behavior. And like you just said, we need to preserve our culture. Well, I think it's also agree, but I think we need to filter it too. I mean, not all the our country, not all our culture is not really suitable with our recently situation with the modern ages. So it's like there is some culture that is very old and cannot be suitable with the era. So in my opinion, instead of filtering the foreign culture, we need to filter our culture too, in order to adapt it with recent ages. Thank you.
Okay, that's all. Let's do the next session. Is Syafiq question. Okay, how do we involve ourselves in order to defend our identity or ancestors' heritage to not be replaced by the foreign culture?
What?
How do we involve or how do we overcome the foreign culture in order that the ancestral heritage or our identity can be replaced?
Okay. So in my opinion, the ways to conserve or to conserve our own culture is that what I have mentioned. We have to learn we have to learn our own culture, but at the same time, we have to learn also about the foreign culture. Because that's what I have said. Both of them has an advantage. By learning and mastering our own culture, we could conserve our own culture so that it is not it doesn't fade because of foreign culture. And not only that, on the other side, we also need to learn about foreign culture too because it gives us a wider range of knowledge and a wider range of information. And by learning about other culture, foreign culture, we could also conserve our own culture because if we learn about foreign culture, we could also know the development of the foreign country because in my opinion, a culture symbolizes its country. So because when we want to conserve our own culture, we also have to know the development of other country. And one of the ways is by learning the country, by learning the culture of foreign countries too.
Okay, thank you very much to Syafiq and Haykal for the performance.